for almost 10 years. Is that a privilege or a problem for you?
Well, it's definitely an advantage to address a panel that is talking about the future of the European Union when you have already been into the future and you've seen the future. By seeing that, I mean that we are still the only country that was part of the Vilnius group. No one remembers probably in this panel that there was such a group because they're all in NATO already. Macedonia is still not part of NATO. And we've seen that almost 15 years ago, we had messages and people coming to Skopje and saying, well, listen guys, in a couple of years you're in NATO, and another couple of years you will be in the European Union, and things will be settled. That's why I say that it is a sort of an advantage, because we've seen already facing these challenges a long time ago. Most of the countries that were facing, practically all the countries that were facing these sort of challenges at that time are already part of both groups, NATO and EU. Now, it has, I would say, some positive and negative sides, and there I would talk in terms of hopes and worries. I will agree with Dietmar that probably the worries are the ones that are more visible. One, maybe because of mentality. I think that we have developed a rationale in the Balkans of always complaining, victimization, and these sort of reflexes which are pretty common for this part of the world, which are probably in contradiction with the Anglo-Saxon kind of spirit, which is always forward-looking, innovative, and looking for other horizons, probably many other places in Europe. And I would say the worries are coming from a few points. One, well, we hear messages that probably at least for the next 5 years there will be no enlargement, and that the appetite might not be that high in the period afterwards. There are also political costs that are associated with promoting that idea, especially in the member states. I mean, you don't necessarily become the most popular person in the country by saying that, yes, I'm going to support the enlargement and it's going to happen tomorrow. Because the public opinion and the feeling mostly is going along the lines of, we have suffered somehow during the previous enlargements, and do we want to repeat the same experience in just a short period of time? And there is also in that kind of context a sort of bilateralization of the enlargement process. And that means that a member state which is in the process kind of has a client among the countries that are on the road to join the Union, and because of the political realities in the rest of the member states, it can easily become the driver in the seat of the destiny of the country that is on the road, which is not exclusive, I would say. But these are the facts. On the other side, we have hopes, and I think that these hopes are extremely important, and politicians both in member states and in candidate and potential candidate countries have the responsibility to work on them. One hope that this thing, no matter how many critics it has, it works for more than 60 years, and it works pretty well. The proof that it works pretty well is that people around the world are trying to mimic that. Whether it concerns ASEAN, Mercosur, NAFTA, other efforts, they try to come here, learn from the European experience, and copy-paste it or adopt it in their environments. And finally, no one has come up with a better option. That should be emphasized. This is the best option that we have. The final point that I would say, and it really is the key to the future, is economy. Economy is what matters. I think that we will understand each other much better, and Prime Minister Milanovic had a very good point yesterday. If you don't tackle the divergences in wealth, simplifying the things between countries, region, places, you cannot be successful as political model, and vice versa. And that means for the countries that are in the process, the future would mean, in the period during which European Union has politically decided that there will be a break, we have to make sure that this gap is narrowing. Depends on us, how much reforms we do, how much investments we attract. Depends also on the others that are in the Union, and that is providing us some valid basis and some credible perspective, and then we can sell to those that are helping the economic development, investors and business people. That's the key.
Thank you very much. That was a very constructive view on the EU and the future of the EU and the importance of the EU as an example also for other regions. But you didn't address domestic problems. I have made the remark about the main problem. Of course, we are interested in your assessment. What are the chances to resolve this problem in the future? Does the momentum of the EU enlargement for your country give also a chance for a compromise with your neighbor country?
Very clearly, we have a strategic interest to settle the dispute with Greece. For a number of reasons, not to expand too much, even the purely economic one would give you the logic. Greece is one of our major investors, it's one of our major trading partners, we have very good relations outside of the political dispute, and I think we have a strategic interest to get rid of it. We see that as our strategic interest. On the other side, in order to match that, and knowing this, because this is not secret, you need to have at least, if we talk in Pareto optimum terms, if we want 80% to get to the solution, you need to have the remaining 20% in order for the story to be a whole one. How it is handled, it can be handled in one way on presenting domestic challenges which are in another field than the main issue. It can be presented by diverting the attention by saying yes, but you know, still challenges, Balkans, and you need still reforms, etc. And there is a fatigue. And unless there is a mood, in that kind of motivational mood, things are pretty difficult to change on their own. And any of the countries that has been in a position to be a candidate country, actually outside of the 6 founding ones, everybody else has that experience. When you're in the demanding side, the perception from those that are offering you the European perspective is that we hold you in our hands. We don't have much of a pressure.
One additional question to that. Do you feel that your country is in a way a victim of the consensus principle inside the European Union? We have had this problem also with other countries. I remind you, for example, this tension between Slovenia and Croatia that also stalled for the European integration of Croatia. And that was the same. You need a consensus with all the member states. Is that a problem? Or should we change this? Maybe.
It's very difficult to say that from outside. Because you might create quite unhappy people from the other side, whatever you say. I will tell you my personal and honest assessment is that solidarity is definitely one of the principles that allowed us to have this European project successful. On the other side, in order for solidarity to really work, you need to stick to certain principles that you follow even in difficult times. Frankly, if I'm another member state than Greece, last thing I would like to do would be to have a conflict with Greece. And frankly, why would I look for a conflict with Greece? Knowing that they are not keen to deal with this issue. But if this solidarity is extended, then you kill the perspectives and the hopes of those that are on the demanding side. And you say, oh, where is this going to? So I would keep the solidarity, but I would associate solidarity with certain principles. And I think that we are risking to lose a little bit outside of the picture because of the current challenges and because of the context that I have described of not being extremely popular while you propagate the enlargement agenda. It should not discourage you, and it should not discourage definitely all the member states that are in the club, because they're holding the key.
Thank you for that very interesting point you have made in your answer.